Hello, Gemini, and welcome to my channel, Tarot by Gabrielle. This is going to be a general reading for Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus signs, looking at your recent past, your current energy, and your immediate future, answering the question, what do you need to know right now in order to move forward in alignment with your higher self? The purpose of this reading is to take both the messages that come through in tarot as well as my experience as a spiritual coach to help dive into the limiting beliefs and the healing and look underneath the surface to see what it is that's holding you back from your dream life. So if that doesn't really sound like that's for you, then this might not be your reading. As always, I've gone ahead and pulled the overall energy for the reading and clarified those messages, but I have the tarot deck already shuffled that I'll be jumping into, as well as the decks that I'll be using in the extended. Any information on the extended reading or on booking a personal reading with me is in the description box below. Last thing, please remember these are general readings. They will not resonate fully for everyone. So there is a need to take what resonates and helps your personal situation and leave what does not. Take what helps, leave what doesn't. All right, Gemini. In your recent past, you have the end of a tough cycle approaches with the Four of Pentacles in reverse. I definitely feel that you have been dealing with a period of instability. This could be like a rug getting ripped out from underneath you kind of energy too. But I do feel like you've been dealing with this period of just feeling like you can't get your feet back on the ground. Like, I don't know, like something happened to take away your stability and you're having a hard time rebuilding. I feel like you have the end of a tough cycle approaches, but I feel like there's a really big cycle at play here because I feel like this situation and the way that it went down has you in an energy of feeling very lost and unsure, at least in your past, like not really knowing what to do next or where to go or what the answer is. And I feel like that was actually quite purposeful. I feel like that happened for a reason because then in your current energy, you have you're good enough with the Two of Pentacles in reverse. You've been investing in a lot of one-sided situations here, Gemini, meaning that you've been giving a lot to people, career paths, bosses, jobs in general. I don't know why I said career, boss, and job, all three of those things. So maybe that definitely has to do with your career life. I don't know. But take it as it resonates. But you've been giving a lot to people and things, and it's almost like you feel like there's so much that's expected of you and so much that you have to give, but you never feel like you receive anything back that aligns with the feeling that you are getting what you deserve. I mean, you are good enough, right? So I feel like your worth, and it's almost like you're in a period of learning that you're no longer going to settle for less than what it is that you are deserving of. And that is coming at a time when I feel like these situations, something has taken place where you feel very lost and very unsure and very, stuck, and you don't want to repeat that. Like, you don't want to repeat whatever went down. And so it's almost like you're needing to fully step into your power of seeing your worth to make sure that you don't repeat past cycles. Now, your immediate future, you have the answers you need are coming with the Magician in reverse. This is what makes me feel that you're experiencing this energy of being a little bit lost, because I feel like oftentimes when we lose sight of our path and we're being redirected to like another path, or we're being, it feels like something was taken away from us to create space for something new to begin. That moment in between, the loss and the separation to the gain and the abundance that's on the other side, that space in between is like the most important space, because it's where we learn all about why things didn't work out, what happened, where we went wrong, what mistakes we made, but also just like what we're not going to accept, right? Have you accepted less than what you deserve? Have you allowed other people to dictate, your movements, choices, and decisions instead of doing what you feel is best for you? Look, that space in between, like not knowing, or when things kind of fall apart, to rebuilding is like so vital. And I feel like you're kind of in that space right now, Gemini. And I do feel like the more that you kind of move through this space, the more that you're going to start to gain clarity on which direction to go moving forward. But you can't gain the clarity unless you wade through the unknown, which I feel like is what you're kind of doing right now. But we'll see what you're actually dealing with, because that was the overall energy. All right, Gemini, let's start by looking at your recent past, clarifying the end of a tough cycle approaches with the Four of Pentacles in reverse. This is for Gemini's recent past. Gemini's recent past, please. One more. This is for Gemini's recent past. Recent past for Gemini, clarifying the end of a tough cycle approaches with the Four of Pentacles in reverse. Woo! Woo! My goodness. Okay. Survival mode. It's that freaking time of year again. I just feel like all I'm doing all of the time is killing flies. Okay, so survival mode keeps breaking your heart. When we invest in situations that we feel we need, and we settle for people, places, and paths that align with our fear, like our fear and trying to avoid a worst case scenario instead of trying to gain an abundance, it will always lead to a disaster. Those are karmic paths, because it's usually when we're choosing paths that have a lesson involved that we need to learn in order to open ourselves up to the path that is really truly meant for us. And I feel, Gemini, like you have been down a few, if not quite a few, karmic paths. And those karmic paths have kind of all led you to the same place, feeling like you're stuck and you're needing to start over and having no idea which direction to go. And I feel like what you're needing to see, because this Judgment in reverse is this need to really take a look at a situation with a very honest lens. And sometimes that honest lens can be difficult, because then we have to also look at how we play a role in our own suffering. Now, that doesn't mean that you haven't been a victim. It doesn't mean that you haven't been treated poorly. It just means that in order to take your power back to create a better future, you have to be able to say, how did I play and role in this? What decisions did I make that weren't necessarily in alignment with my truth, but were more in alignment with my fear? Because I feel like you've been stuck in this energy of survival mode and feeling like if you don't do this, that you're gonna be like if you don't stay in a relationship that doesn't serve you, you're gonna be alone forever. If you don't pursue this job you absolutely hate, you're going to have nothing and end up homeless. Like whatever the worst case scenario is, the decisions you make are in alignment with avoiding worst case scenario as opposed to choosing abundance. That's actually incredibly common, and what most people are doing is choosing to avoid worst case scenarios instead of choosing abundance. It's why people stay in relationships that don't serve them for as long as they do. It's why people are afraid to lose their job where they're treated poorly, because they don't believe that there's something better on the other side. And that just comes down with learning to rely on something a little bit bigger than you, a spiritual power of your own understanding, and understanding that the universe does have your back, and the universe wants you to have abundance just as much as you do. But, the abundance and manifestation process is a co-creation process. The universe can do for you all day long, but if you don't do for yourself, then you're never going to get to where you're trying to go. Dang, some hard truths right out of the gate for you, Gemini. First card. All right, recent past for Gemini. So there was an ending to what you thought you wanted. I feel like that's been the hardest thing, is you're like, well, no, I really thought that this was the right thing for me. I really thought that this was the path I was supposed to take. I feel like there's something deeper that led to the decision of whatever this was, because I do feel like something ended, something came to a halt, something, like rug ripped out from underneath you, something like that. There's that Two of Pentacles, which is, it's in reverse, which is the same as what you have right here. So here's what I feel it was, Gemini. You were investing in a situation out of the hope that it became better over time. I feel like what it was in the beginning wasn't what you were deserving of. So you were hoping that the more that you invested in it and the more that you gave to it, that it would become whatever it was that, whatever fulfillment you were looking for. And I don't think it ever did. And I feel like over time, it went from investing in it, because you felt like it was right for you to investing in it almost like out of obligation. It could have been out of obligation, or like because you felt there was no other way. Like you felt there was no other option. Like you were like, well, it has to be this now. and it almost got to a point where you were like, you once thought you wanted something, but then it very much turned out to be not what you wanted. But then like you were still hoping that it would be what you wanted because you were afraid that if you chose another path that that one would fail too, or something along those lines. And this sounds like I'm being like, okay, and it's coming through like, oh, you're such a failure and everything you do has ended in failure. That's not at all what I'm saying. The messages are just coming through that there's something specific that you've been stuck in a cycle with. It could be a career, it could be relationships that have kind of led you to this, outcome of things falling apart and you being like, what the hell, like, how did I get here? And obviously not wanting to repeat that. Recent past for Gemini, please. Recent past for Gemini, please. Page of Swords, the Fool, the Strength, and the Three of Swords. Oh, and the Seven of Pentacles in reverse. Okay. So, whether or not you know it yet, whatever happened in your past is really trying to push you to a new beginning. And it's a new beginning that is different than what you have experienced before. It's better. But I feel like you're kind of going to have a choice. And I feel like we'll see the Two of Swords at some point. Maybe not, but I do feel like we will see the Two of Swords. That you'll have a choice to decide to repeat the same cycle or to do things different. And I really feel, Gemini, like the point of this reading is to help you do things differently. There's been this theme in a lot of my readings recently that it feels like people are kind of coming to this like crossroads. So I don't know if anyone in astrology knows anything about that, but it just feels like people are kind of coming to the end of these cycles and being put in these crossroads of like, are you going to repeat this cycle or are you going to do things differently and, start to create something better for yourself? Because when we can look at our past experiences, like for me, I learned a lot about myself in relationships. I had been in a string of really unhealthy relationships for a very long time. Sometimes I was the toxic one. Sometimes I was dealing with someone else who was the toxic one. And I learned, and after I finally stopped becoming a little bit too codependent and relying on relationship after relationship to make me happy, I started looking back and realizing I was the common denominator in every single relationship that fell apart. And the more that I took my power back and recognized how I was responsible, not that took the responsibility off of the other person, but when I could hold myself accountable for where I was responsible, I was able to recognize my patterns and my patterns of trying to change people or not being able to sustain a relationship because I chose people with the hope of them changing or whatever the case was. And it came down to like, a lot of it was changing people, but it came down to me needing to realize that I was investing in situations out of the hope of them getting better, instead of investing in them for what they provided me in the moment I met them. And so when I was able to take the responsibility for that, I started getting very picky in my connections, and relationships of all variety. I'm not just talking about romantic. And I started setting boundaries and I started saying, hey, this is what I need. I started showing up as my most authentic self. And if someone didn't resonate with that, they weren't supposed to be in my life. And I did this over and over again until I did build a community of people around me who resonate with my soul, including my current partner, who is hands down the best person I've ever met. And I never would have met him if I had kept settling for relationships that were going to repeat old cycles. And I had to get really picky and say, no, I don't like the way you spoke to me. I don't like you showed up late 3 times, like whatever. And those are not, I don't even think either of those really happened, but I had to get really picky about my past relationships in order to attract my present one. It feels like, I know it might feel like I'm getting off base of the reading, but I'm not, because what I'm getting at is that we have to look at how our choices and our decisions have created our past realities and our kind of present reality too, so that we can look at what decisions we need to make moving forward in order to change the narrative for us. And so I feel like that's what's ultimately kind of coming through, is this need to kind of reevaluate how you've repeated cycles in your life and what you can do to change them. And that's hard to do because it takes a lot of self-work and, being able to be vulnerable and honest with yourself and say, yeah, it's easy to blame everyone who has hurt me and to say these people have done these things to me and I showed up and tried my best. Absolutely. It's easy to do that. But whenever you're able to look at like, okay, if there's a lesson here, what is it and what do I need to learn? The lesson will appear and then you'll learn it and then you'll move forward and then you won't have to repeat those painful cycles. All right, current energy for Gemini, clarifying you are good enough with the Two of Pentacles. Current energy for Gemini, clarifying you are good enough with the Two of Pentacles. Current energy for Gemini, please. And one more. Current energy for Gemini. Look at that. There is a new beginning on the other side of this freaking cycle. So there's the world. You are stuck in a cycle, and it is time to close it, Gemini. It's time to close this cycle. It is not serving you anymore. And the way that it has continued to show up in your life has led you to heartbreak and loss and pain and suffering that you do not deserve. And so I do feel like right now, especially in your current energy, there's this need to kind of retrospectively do some inner work, like looking back at the past. That doesn't mean you have to relive painful situations or anything like that, but just kind of looking at like what the commonality between these situations is. Was it the people that you were choosing? Was it that you knew that a path and a career wasn't meant for you, but you were hoping that it would help you prove yourself or feel successful or provide you with a level of abundance? Like, what was it that led you to making the decisions that you made? Because that'll help you close out the cycle. You are dealing, whether or not you realize it, Gemini, with a pretty big level of self-doubt. Not knowing that you are worthy and deserving of more than what you've experienced, and therefore settling for what you have experienced because you think that's as good as it's going to get and that's all you deserve. And that's so common because of course you're going to think what is possible for you is, what you think is possible for you is going to be based on what you've experienced. If you've experienced a lot of things going south, you're going to think, well, that's all that life is. That's all that's possible for me. And your decisions and your actions are going to continue to align with that belief. But when you can look at the fact that your experience on this earth is such a small percentage of what is possible for you, and you start to open your heart and your soul up to what the universe really has in store for you, that's when you can allow the universe to help you co-create the life of your dreams. Staying stuck in beliefs that don't serve you is going to keep you stuck in cycles that are going to be painful. All right, current energy for Gemini. And I feel like a big part of this is looking at how you've chosen one-sided situations, like how maybe you've been the one to give but never really receive. And it could be vice versa too. Were you looking for something to provide for you without you being willing to fully show up authentically to provide for it? Kind of got to look at both sides of that. Current energy for Gemini. I don't know why I felt the need to shuffle those again, but I did. Current energy for Gemini. Oh my goodness. Current energy for Gemini, please. Okay. See, this wheel is trying to turn in your favor. You have the Wheel of Fortune. And then you have this Three of Swords and the Devil. The universe wants to turn the wheel in your favor. Your attachments that usually stem from limiting beliefs are what keeps leading to your Three of Swords. So there's a need to get really real about your attachments and where they stem from. And oftentimes we attach ourselves to certain outcomes, meaning that this specific relationship has to work out, this specific path has to work out, this specific goal has to work out, or else worst case scenario, right? I'm going to end up alone. I'm never going to be happy. I'm never going to have the money I need. I'm going to end up homeless, blah, 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 blah. And so the universe is trying all day long to bring you your blessings, but you're choosing attachments. And those attachments are keeping you stuck in experiencing that same cycle. So try to look at the bigger picture a little bit. I know that taking accountability for your own suffering is freaking hard. I've done it. And it's specifically hard when you do consider yourself a victim in situations. And so try your hardest to to look at things from a little bit more of like an unbiased perspective, and understand that the only way to change your life is to also take responsibility for your role in your own suffering. It is the only way to move things forward. The more that you blame your suffering on outside factors like people and situations, the more that you give your power away to those people and situations, and you say, these things outside of me are responsible for my current experience. And the more that you do that, the more that you're going to continue to believe that you don't have power over your experience, and that you are a victim, and that those situations are going to continue to unfold in your life. All right. Immediate future for Gemini. What does Gemini need to know about their immediate future? Clarifying the answers you need are coming with the Magician in reverse. This is for Gemini's immediate future. Clarifying the answers you need are coming with the Magician in reverse. One more. Immediate future for Gemini. Woo! What does Gemini need to know about their immediate future? That card fell out. It wasn't supposed to come out. Healing the reasons you don't believe you're deserving. That's what you're needing to do. That's the biggest thing you're needing to do. Heal the reasons you don't think you're deserving, because that right there is your biggest limiting belief. For me, for a really long time, when I started kind of taking my power back from situations and realizing my own role, I then went a little bit too far the other way and fell super into shame and guilt. And I started believing that I wasn't deserving of anything good in this world because of all of the bad things I had done in my life to other people and to attract my own suffering and so on and so forth. And so it's really easy that when you stop, putting your judgment on other people and projecting, your inner beliefs onto others and start to take responsibility, it's really easy to do the other thing and start to realize, oh, well, I've done all of these bad things and I've made all these bad decisions, and I'm, therefore, like, I'm undeserving of good things because I don't even know how to be a human being, blah, 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 blah. I mean, it's a really easy spiral to get into, and I got into it for about a year and a half. So, whenever you start to take a look at your life, you have to learn to do it without judgment, and to learn that you are a human being and you are doing the best you know how, just like everybody else is. Unfortunately, even the people that are, hurting other people and doing the extremes, such as like killing other people and things like that, they are doing the best that they know how in order to survive. And the more that you can look at yourself from with that same lens and say, like, I'm doing the best I know how in order to survive with what I know in this moment, the more that you realize that you don't have to judge yourself so harshly for the beliefs that you have internalized based on your experiences. That message seems a little intense, but for some reason, someone out there needs to hear it. That, like, if you've done bad things in your life, or you feel like you've hurt other people in your life, it does not mean you are a bad person. And it does not mean that means that you are deserving of like a life of hell. Okay. What it means is that you have some things to learn, and you have, hurt people. If you feel like you've hurt people in your life, it's because you're hurting, and there's a need to figure out how you're hurting, not so you no longer hurt people, which, yes, of course, that would be a good thing, but also so that you don't keep hurting yourself. Because the more you put yourself into these cycles, the more that you end up getting hurt too. And so I do feel like there's this need to go a little bit easier on yourself, first and foremost. And second of all, start to tap into the reasons why you don't think you're deserving. And maybe it just stems from the way that you have been treated. It could come from the other side, right? You've been treated poorly, and so you've internalized that is all you deserve. There's so many different ways that you can internalize these beliefs, but at the end of the day, the beliefs are still going to impact you the same. They're going to keep you stuck in painful cycles that aren't going to allow you to move forward to your abundance. And so your immediate future is about looking at things with that honest lens, without judgment, because you have the judgment in reverse, without judgment, but also without rose-colored glasses too. And so it's a hard thing to do, but it's also the most freeing thing you will ever do in your life. When you take your power back from your circumstances and you realize that you are way more in control of your reality than you've given yourself credit for, you set yourself free and open yourself up to a world unlike anything you could ever imagine. So keep that in mind. But I do feel like you're a little lost and you don't really know where to start. because you have the answers you need are coming with the Magician in reverse. So let's get more for Gemini's immediate future, please. Immediate future for Gemini, clarifying the answers you need are coming with the Magician in reverse. Immediate future for Gemini, please. I feel like these messages have been very, like, to the point, truthful. So hopefully no one's taking them poorly, because I promise there's nothing but love in them. Immediate future for Gemini. Okay. Yeah, there's the Seven of Cups. See, you are not knowing what to do. And look, it's the I literally felt this. Four of Pentacles in reverse, things falling apart is what led you to this, like, confusion and overwhelming energy of, like, not knowing what to do. I think what you're needing to do right now, Gemini, is accept that you are where you're at for a reason and that everything is working out for you even if you don't know how yet. Because I do feel like what you're going through right now is really guiding you to a path that is going to be so much better than what you've experienced. We haven't seen the Two of Swords, which I really thought we were going to, but it also feels like you have this choice to make of, like, am I going to choose repeating cycles, or am I going to choose to do some healing and to figure out what the heck has been going on underneath all of this stuff so that I don't have to repeat these painful cycles? Because no one wants to be in this energy. This Four of Pentacles energy in reverse freaking sucks. It's scary. It's confusing. It's scary. There's a lot of fear involved in this energy because it feels like whatever once kept you stable was taken away. And so that energy of, like, what you used to rely on for stability being taken from you is scary. I mean, it's more than just facing the unknown. It's facing the unknown associated with all of the fear that you're never going to have what it is that you need to feel safe again. So try your hardest not to make decisions to get back to that safety as soon as possible, because all you're doing is building a false sense of security around surroundings and people and situations that actually aren't good for you, and that you'll end up staying in that cycle for a lot longer. All right, let's get immediate future for Gemini. Immediate future for Gemini. Dang it, our neighbor's dog jumps our fence and goes in our backyard, and it makes our dog so mad. Immediate future for Gemini. What does Gemini need to know about their immediate future? There's something coming towards you. I feel like it's guidance. You have some guidance coming because you have the Page of Cups and the High Priestess here. And the High Priestess is like higher self energy. Page of Cups is like intuitive messages. So you have a lot. I feel like you have some answers that really are coming for you. The way that they could come in so many different forms. It could come while meditating, journaling, being in nature, in a conversation with a friend, through like a Facebook comment or like an ad. It could come in so many different ways. So learning to tap into your intuition and understand when a message is important for you, and then acting on that guidance is going to be vitally important in your immediate future. All right, before I hop on over to the extended, where I'm going to pull messages from your higher self, advice from your higher self, which is the first time I've done this, so I'm pretty excited about it. It's gone really well this week. And then I have an affirmation card to pull at the end from Spirit. Before I do that, I just do want to mention that this week is the last week to sign up for that summer workshop series. The first session is June 30th, talking all about taking your power back and stepping into your attraction power to create the life of your dreams. All of the information for it is in the top of the description box below. Well, in the top of the description box below is the video that I made the original announcement in. And in that description box is all of the information on the workshop. I will be in it as a participant. The presenter of the workshop is a fantastic transformative wellness coach. She is incredibly good at what she does. She has helped me in so many different ways, and I'm excited that she's taking her coaching skills to this presentation and opening it up to the public. So if that's something that sounds interesting to you, I do at least recommend kind of checking out the information on it. Otherwise, Gemini, thank you so very much, as always, for your support of my channel. I do hope that this reading helped and resonated with you in a way that you were needing today. And as always, I wish you nothing but love and healing on your journey moving forward. All right, bye, Gemini.